Toyota Tundra lease deals are back, and in this video, we'll go over the Toyota Tundra SR5 lease deal, and we'll compare it to the Toyota Tundra Limited lease deal. Now, in my opinion, these Toyota Tundra lease deals are some of the best lease deals that you can find on a full-size pickup truck in the United States. And in this video, what we'll do is we'll go over the lease deals in detail. We'll then talk about the 1.25% rule of leasing, and then we'll end this video talking about why one Toyota Tundra, the SR5, actually leases better than the other. So make sure you tune into this video, and I'll give you a lot of helpful tips and tricks along the way. If you're looking to lease any car, it doesn't have to be a Toyota Tundra, but all these helpful tips and tricks will be useful to you regardless of the car that you're looking to lease. So with that, let's jump into the computer behind me and let's talk about these Toyota Tundra lease deals. And I forgot to mention, please don't forget to like this video, and please be sure to follow or subscribe to my channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the Toyota website, and as you can see, this is the Tundra lease special. And for those of you that have been following the lease industry closely or Toyota Tundra lease specials closely, you'll know that there hasn't been any really good Toyota Tundra lease deals in 4 or 5 years. And this is the best lease deal that I've seen on a Tundra since that time. And the best part is that this is the all-new refreshed Toyota Tundra. It's been getting rave reviews. So let's go ahead and look at this lease deal. It's a 2024 Tundra SR5, and if you want the particulars on this trim, it's the 2024 Tundra 4-wheel drive CrewMax SR5 V6. You can currently lease this truck for $469 a month for 36 months with $3,999 due at signing. Now, if we actually scroll down and we read some more of this fine print, you'll see that this lease allows for 10,000 miles a year. Now, a lot of people freak out when they see this 10,000 miles a year. They're like, hey, Ravi, I drive like 15,000 miles a year. Or I drive 13,000 miles a year. The 10,000 is just not going to work. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can get a 12,000 mile a year lease or a 15,000 mile a year lease. Just remember to get that lease when you sign the lease rather than paying the excess mileage penalties. That will actually save you some money, and that goes for any lease deal, not just a Toyota lease deal. Now, you also notice that this car has an MSRP. Let me see if I can zoom in here. You'll see that this car has an MSRP of $57,662, and it also has a lease and purchase amount or purchase price of $40,363, which is also awesome. I tell people when they're looking to lease a car that you want to lease a car that has a buyout option at the end of the lease term. And that way, if you have any equity at the end of the lease, you can realize that. Because what a lot of people do is that they lease a car, like this one, for example, for 36 months, and they just turn it in without checking to see if they have equity. And equity means that, at the end of the lease term, this car is worth more than $40,363. So let's say it's worth $45,000. You can actually pocket that equity. There's ways of realizing that equity. I won't go into it in detail in this video, but you want to make sure to check if your lease car has equity at the end of the lease term. Don't just blindly turn it back in, because you could be losing out on thousands of dollars. And you'll also see that the due at signing amount of $3,999 includes a $2,880 customer down payment, the first month's payment of $469, and you'll also have to pay a $650 acquisition fee. And ladies and gentlemen, this $650 acquisition fee is pretty standard for every lease, regardless of the manufacturer. They're all going to have an acquisition fee. Some are $500, some are closer to $1,000. In this case, it's $650. And another thing I want to point out is that you will be charged 15 cents per mile for all mileage over 10,000 miles per year. So let's just say that you lease this car today, and the day you go and turn it back in 3 years from now, let's say you drove it, 35,000 miles, you're going to be charged 15 cents per mile on each one of those 5,000 miles. And that's why I say if you know you're going to drive this truck more than the 10,000 miles a year, it's better to get the mileage up front rather than paying this 15 cents per mile excess mileage penalty. Now, in this part of the video, I want to talk about the 1.25% rule of leasing. And the 1.25% rule of leasing is just a rule of thumb that I use, that your monthly payment with $0 down should be around 1.25% or under. Now, if it's under 1.5%, I still think that's a good deal, but I would really have to evaluate whether or not I would want to lease or buy the car at that point. If it's under 1.25%, I'm definitely leasing the car. If it's under 1%, which some vehicles are. I just did a Hyundai Ioniq a few days ago. It was under 1%. And if your lease is under 1% of the MSRP, your lease payment is under 1% of the MSRP, that's a tremendous lease deal. I mean, leasing that car is sort of a no-brainer at that point. But let's go ahead and run the 1.25% rule on this 2024 Tundra SR5, and then we'll run it on this 2024 Tundra Limited here on the right-hand side. Now, to run the 1.25% rule of leasing, I'm going to take the $3,999 that's due at signing. I'm going to divide it by 36, since this is a 36-month lease. If it was a 24-month lease, I would divide it by 24 months, but I'm going to divide it by 36. And when I do that, I'm just breaking down the due at signing into 36 equal parts. And when I do that, it's $111 a month. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the $469 monthly payment to this amount, and I get a pre-tax monthly payment with $0 down of $580 a month. Now people say, hey, that's not factoring in taxes, so let's go ahead and multiply this by 1.1 to include 10% sales tax, and that's what it is here in Seattle where I live. And when I do that, I get a monthly payment with $0 down, including taxes, of $638 a month. Now what I'm going to do is, I know that the MSRP of this truck is $57,662, as you can see here. So what I'll do is I will divide this by $57,662. And when I do that, I get 1.1%. Let me actually just multiply this by 100 so it makes it easier for you guys to read. And when I do that, I get 1.1%. So ladies and gentlemen, anytime your monthly payment with $0 down is less than 1.5% of the MSRP, that's a good deal. If it's less than 1.25%, that's a great deal. I mean, I'm leasing that car or truck regardless. And if it's less than 1%, that's an amazing deal. Those deals are hard to come by, but they are out there. So this Tundra SR5 sitting at 1.1% is a great deal, and I would definitely lease this truck if you're in the market for a 2024 Tundra SR5. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that just because the 2024 Tundra, the SR5 trim, is a great lease deal in terms of value, doesn't mean that all trims are going to be a great value. So let's go ahead and scroll over here to the right, and let's look at the 2024 Toyota Tundra Limited. As you can see, the monthly payment is a bit higher at $559. You have the same due at signing, but you will also see that the MSRP on this car, or on this truck, excuse me, is a little bit higher at $63,087. So let's go ahead and bust out the calculator again, and let's run the 1.25% rule on the Tundra Limited. So I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to take the $3,999. I'm going to divide it by 36, since this is a 36-month lease. I'm going to add the monthly payment of $559 to this amount, and then I'll multiply this by 1.1 to account for 10% sales tax. And when I do that, I get $737. I will divide this amount by $63,087. And then I'll multiply by 100 to make this easier to read. And when I do that, I get 1.16. I mean, if you round up, it's 1.17%. Now, as you can see, this is still a great deal because it's under 1.25%. I mean, it's a tremendous deal. But the Toyota Tundra SR5 that we just ran the 1.25% rule on is a better lease deal in terms of value. I mean, what I mean by that is you're just getting more truck for the money. But some people want the limited, some people want the limited features, and if you want to go for the limited, I also think this is a great lease deal. It's just not quite as good as the SR5. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I think that this 2024 Toyota Tundra is an amazing lease deal. I hope you guys got value out of this video. I hope that the 1.25% rule, makes sense, because there are a lot of trucks out there with the same MSRP as these trucks that are, 1.7, 1.8% lease deals, meaning that their monthly payment with $0 down is 1.8% of the MSRP. So looking at, these lease deals from a value point of view, you really can't beat the value that you're getting when you lease these Toyota Tundras at this price. And another thing to remember is that this is just the advertised price. You can always try to negotiate the selling price of these trucks down further. Just depends, which dealer you're working with. But a rule of thumb is for each $1,000 that you can take off of the selling price, get the dealer discount that selling price, it'll take about $30 off of the monthly payment. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.